Newport, Rhode Island stands as a remarkable testament to a bygone era of American opulence, where sprawling mansions line the rugged coastline, their facades and grounds preserved with a fidelity that transports observers back to the Gilded Age. This small, seaside city's identity is inexorably linked to these architectural marvels, which remain frozen in time, embodying both the grandeur and the complexities of a social order that once dominated the nation's elite. The mansions of Newport are more than mere buildings. They are enduring symbols of wealth, artistry, and cultural ambition, meticulously maintained to reflect a chapter of history that continues to captivate public imagination. The construction of these mansions primarily took place during the late 19th and early 20th centuries, a period broadly recognized as the Gilded Age, a time characterized by rapid industrialization, unprecedented accumulation of wealth, and conspicuous displays of social status. Newport emerged as the preferred summer sanctuary for America's wealthiest families, whose fortunes were often rooted in railroads, steel, banking, and shipping. These families sought refuge from the urban heat and social pressures of cities like New York and Boston, choosing instead the cool breezes and scenic vistas of Newport's coastal landscape. In this context, the mansions were conceived not merely as residences but as grand stage sets for the performance of elite identity and power. The scale and ambition of Newport's mansions set them apart from other contemporary summer homes. Unlike the modest retreats of middle-class Americans, these estates were colossal in size and lavish in detail, often encompassing tens of thousands of square feet of living space, extensive formal gardens, and a multitude of ancillary structures including stables, guest houses, and boathouses. The homes were designed to accommodate not only their owners but also large entourages of family members, staff, and guests, reflecting the social customs and expectations of the era. This spatial magnitude underscored the social distance between the Gilded Age elite and the wider populace, reinforcing class distinctions through architectural means. Newport's mansions also represent a unique architectural heritage, distinguished by an eclectic blend of styles and influences drawn from European traditions and adapted to American tastes and sensibilities. The city's shoreline became an open-air gallery where Renaissance, Baroque, Gothic Revival, and Beaux-Arts elements coexisted, often within the same estate. This stylistic plurality was a deliberate expression of wealth and cultural sophistication, as owners commissioned leading architects of the day to imbue their homes with historical gravitas and aesthetic distinction. The resulting compositions were not only residences but also curated artistic statements, each mansion narrating a distinct story of aspiration and identity. The significance of Newport as a summer playground for America's elite extended beyond its architectural wonders. The city functioned as a social crucible where the country's most powerful families convened annually, forging alliances, engaging in leisure pursuits, and consolidating social hierarchies. The mansions served as venues for elaborate balls, dinners, and regattas, events that were critical to the maintenance of social networks and the performance of status rituals. In this way, the built environment of Newport was deeply intertwined with the social and cultural fabric of the Gilded Age elite, shaping and reflecting the rhythms of an exclusive society. Moreover, the preservation of Newport's mansions today offers a rare window into this historical milieu, allowing contemporary audiences to witness firsthand the spatial arrangements, material culture, and design philosophies that defined an era. Unlike many other Gilded Age estates across the United States, which have been lost to demolition or significant alteration, Newport's mansions have remained remarkably intact. This preservation is not accidental. It reflects a conscious choice by successive generations to maintain these edifices as cultural artifacts and educational resources. The neighborhood that preserved Newport's mansions thus stands as a living museum, where architectural grandeur and social history coalesce. The enduring allure of Newport's mansions is also tied to their ability to evoke an idealized version of wealth and social order. The estates symbolize a past when wealth was displayed through tangible, monumental means rather than the more diffuse and digital manifestations common today. Their preservation speaks beyond architecture, revealing cultural priorities and resistance to change in elite social circles where the mansions became monuments to an unchanging ideal of status. This stasis, however, is complex. It involves negotiations between historical memory, economic realities, and evolving cultural values. In addition to their architectural and social significance, the mansions of Newport contribute to the city's identity and economy in the present day. They attract hundreds of thousands of visitors annually, drawn by the promise of stepping into an authentically preserved Gilded Age environment. This heritage tourism has become a vital component of Newport's contemporary life, balancing the tension between private legacy and public access. The houses became museums and cultural landmarks, their interiors and grounds meticulously maintained to offer immersive experiences that both educate and enchant. The mansion's locations along the Atlantic coast further enhance their allure. Perched on bluffs overlooking the sea, the estates capitalize on dramatic natural settings that augment their architectural splendor. The integration of landscape and building is a hallmark of their design, with carefully planned gardens, terraces, and vistas that frame the ocean and create a sense of exclusivity and retreat. This spatial relationship between the built environment and nature contributes to the enduring charm and significance of Newport's estate district, reinforcing the impression of a preserved enclave apart from the tides of modern life. The neighborhood that preserved Newport's mansions is thus more than a collection of historic buildings. It represents a conscious preservation of social memory and cultural identity. The estates symbolize preserved wealth, not only in material terms, but also as embodiments of a historical narrative about power, taste, and social hierarchy. This narrative has been sustained through careful stewardship and public engagement, ensuring that Newport's mansions remain relevant as both heritage sites and symbols of a distinctive American epoch. In sum, Newport's mansions stand as monumental artifacts of the Gilded Age, their preservation offering a unique glimpse into the architectural ambition and social dynamics of America's wealthiest families during a time of rapid economic and cultural transformation. The neighborhood that froze Newport's mansions in time reflects a deliberate choice to preserve a bygone era amid rapid modernization, allowing these estates to continue telling their stories of grandeur, exclusivity, and the complexities of social identity. The genesis of Newport's mansions cannot be fully understood without examining the origins and circumstances of the elite families who commissioned them. These families were not merely wealthy. Their fortunes were emblematic of the profound economic transformations that defined the United States in the late 19th century. Often referred to collectively as the Gilded Age elite, they were industrial magnates, financiers, and entrepreneurs who amassed vast wealth through the expansion of railroads, steel manufacturing, oil, shipping, and banking. Their economic power was immense, and their social ambitions equally expansive as they sought to translate financial success into lasting symbols of status and cultural refinement. The industrial magnates who shaped the Newport landscape were figures such as the Vanderbilts, Astors, and Morgans, names synonymous with American capitalism and the accumulation of private fortunes on an unprecedented scale. These families accumulated wealth through enterprises that capitalized on the nation's rapid industrialization and integration into global markets. The Vanderbilts, for instance, built their fortune through railroads and shipping, controlling vital transportation networks that facilitated commerce across the continent. Similarly, the Astors derived considerable wealth from real estate investments and fur trading, while the Morgans became synonymous with banking and finance, wielding influence over key institutions and industries. This accumulation of wealth was not merely economic, but also deeply social and cultural. The Gilded Age elite operated within a milieu that emphasized conspicuous consumption and public display as markers of success. The construction of lavish summer residences in Newport was a direct manifestation of these social codes. These cottages, as they were ironically termed, were designed to project an image of refinement, permanence, and exclusivity. The mansions were more than homes. They were statements of identity and power, crafted to impress peers and assert dominance within an increasingly stratified social order. The social context that enabled such extravagant displays of wealth was marked by stark disparities and rapid change. The post-Civil War United States witnessed unparalleled economic growth, but also profound social tensions. Industrialization created immense fortunes for a few, while leaving many in poverty and precarious labor conditions. The elite's investment in Newport's mansions can thus be seen as both a reflection of their success and a spatial embodiment of the social divisions of the era. These estates created a physical and symbolic separation from the urban centers and working classes, reinforcing the boundaries of privilege. Cultural motivations for constructing these grand summer cottages were multifaceted. On one level, they represented a desire to emulate European aristocracy, whose country estates had long served as markers of lineage and status. The American elite, newly wealthy and often lacking hereditary titles, sought to establish comparable symbols of prestige through architecture and landscape. Newport offered a geographically and socially suitable venue for this emulation, combining scenic beauty with a developing social scene that attracted the nation's upper crust. Moreover, the creation of these estates was driven by a complex interplay of social rituals and personal aspirations. The summer season in Newport was an opportunity for social networking, courtship, and the display of taste and refinement. The mansions provided the backdrop for elaborate entertainments, balls, dinners, regattas, that were essential to the maintenance of social hierarchies. The architecture and decor were designed to impress not only through scale and luxury, but also through cultural references that signaled education, worldliness, and sophistication. The families who built these mansions were deeply conscious of their public image and the social capital embedded in material culture. Commissioning renowned architects and artists was a deliberate strategy to position themselves within elite cultural circles. The houses became repositories for art collections, rare furnishings, and technological innovations, each element carefully curated to enhance the family's prestige. This cultural capital was as crucial as financial capital in sustaining their social standing. It is important to recognize that the wealth underpinning Newport's mansions was often newly acquired rather than inherited. Many of the Gilded Age elite were first- or second-generation millionaires, their fortunes built on the industrial economy rather than old aristocratic lineage. This new money brought with it both ambition and insecurity, fueling an intense desire to legitimize status through conspicuous consumption and cultural patronage. The mansions therefore served a dual function, as private retreats and as public symbols validating the family's place in high society. The social dynamics within these families also reflected broader societal trends. Marriage alliances, social clubs, and philanthropic activities were intertwined with the construction and use of the estates. Newport functioned as a stage on which these interactions played out, reinforcing the social cohesion of the elite while delineating boundaries against outsiders. The physical environment of the mansions, with their vast grounds and exclusive access, mirrored and facilitated these social processes. Economic context played a critical role in shaping the scale and nature of the mansions. The Gilded Age was marked by volatile markets, speculative investments, and periods of financial crisis. Yet the wealth of Newport's elite often proved resilient, enabling sustained investment in these summer residences despite broader economic fluctuations. The mansions thus became symbols of stability and permanence amid an era of rapid change and uncertainty. The cultural motivations behind the construction of Newport's mansions also encompassed a desire to create lasting legacies. The families intended these estates to endure beyond their own lifetimes, becoming monuments to their achievements and values. This aspiration to permanence influenced architectural choices, the incorporation of durable materials, and the commissioning of artworks and furnishings of the highest quality. In this sense, the mansions were not only homes but also cultural projects aimed at shaping historical memory. In addition to reflecting wealth and status, the mansions embodied the tastes and values of their owners in more subtle ways. The eclectic architectural styles chosen for the estates often reflected personal preferences and cultural affiliations, ranging from Gothic revival to Renaissance-inspired motifs. These stylistic decisions were imbued with symbolic meaning, signaling erudition, cosmopolitanism, and a connection to European traditions. The mansions became a form of visual rhetoric, articulating the identity and aspirations of their builders. The families who shaped Newport's architectural landscape were also engaged in broader cultural and philanthropic endeavors. Many were patrons of the arts, education, and social causes, leveraging their wealth to influence public life. The construction of the mansions was part of this broader engagement, situating the families within national and international networks of culture and influence. Newport thus functioned as a nexus where economic power, cultural capital, and social prestige intersected. While the Gilded Age elite enjoyed the privileges afforded by their wealth, their social position was not without challenges. The rapid rise of industrial fortunes occasionally provoked skepticism and criticism from established social circles and the wider public. The construction of Newport's mansions was in part a response to this ambivalence, an effort to solidify social acceptance through visible markers of refinement and permanence. The estates were carefully managed to cultivate an aura of exclusivity and legitimacy. The cultural motivations behind Newport's mansions also reflected broader anxieties about modernity and change. In an era of technological innovation and social upheaval, the mansions represented a refuge and a symbol of continuity. The architecture and landscape design often harkened back to historical styles and traditions, creating a sense of timelessness amid a rapidly transforming society. This impulse towards historical emulation and preservation would resonate in later preservation efforts that sought to maintain these estates as cultural touchstones. In summation, the background of Newport's Gilded Age elite reveals a complex interplay of economic power, social ambition, and cultural expression. The families who built these mansions were industrial titans and financiers whose wealth and influence shaped not only the American economy, but also its social and cultural landscapes. Their motivations for constructing grand summer cottages in Newport were deeply embedded in the social and economic context of the time, reflecting desires for status, legitimacy, and legacy. These estates stand as enduring monuments to an era defined by both extraordinary wealth and profound social stratification. The acquisition of land in Newport by the Gilded Age elite was a calculated and deliberate process that laid the foundation for the city's transformation into a bastion of architectural grandeur and social exclusivity. Coastal Rhode Island, with its rugged cliffs, secluded coves, and temperate summer climate, offered an ideal setting for the summer retreats of America's wealthiest families. This prime coastal land, once dotted with modest farms and fishing villages, was systematically purchased and developed to accommodate the ambitions of industrial magnates seeking to establish a physical and social presence in one of the nation's most desirable locales. The process of land acquisition was marked by both opportunity and competition. Newport's coastline had long been appreciated for its natural beauty, but it was the arrival of the railroad and improvements in transportation infrastructure that made it accessible to the urban elite. As the city became more reachable from metropolitan centers such as New York and Boston, wealthy families moved swiftly to secure plots that offered commanding views of the Atlantic Ocean, privacy, and proximity to the burgeoning social scene. These parcels were often consolidated from multiple smaller holdings, reflecting a pattern of strategic land assembly designed to maximize estate size and exclusivity. The social scene in Newport played a pivotal role in attracting and sustaining the wealthy elite's interest in the area. The city had established itself as a fashionable summer destination by the mid-19th century, hosting regattas, social gatherings, and cultural events that drew the upper classes. The presence of prominent families created a self-reinforcing dynamic, where the social cachet of Newport encouraged further investment in property and architecture. This milieu fostered a competitive environment in which families sought to outdo one another in the scale and sophistication of their estates, thereby elevating Newport's status as the premier summer playground for America's social elite. Early architectural commissions were critical in shaping the character and prestige of Newport's mansions. Recognizing the importance of design excellence in manifesting their social aspirations, the elite engaged the services of leading architectural firms and designers. Among the most influential were McKim, Mead, and White, a New York-based firm renowned for its mastery of Beaux-Arts classicism and its ability to synthesize European architectural traditions with American innovation. Their involvement signaled a shift toward a more refined and monumental architectural language that would define Newport's estate district. The architect's approach to estate design extended beyond the houses themselves to encompass comprehensive planning of the surrounding grounds and auxiliary structures. The integration of gardens, terraces, carriage houses, and service buildings was essential in creating cohesive and visually compelling estates that functioned as unified works of art. This holistic approach reflected contemporary trends in landscape architecture and estate planning, influenced by figures such as Frederick Law Olmsted, whose principles emphasized harmony between built and natural environments. The initial development phase was marked by experimentation and eclecticism, as architects and clients explored diverse stylistic expressions and configurations. Early mansions exhibited a range of influences, including Italianate villas, Gothic revival cottages, and Queen Anne styles. These explorations reflected the owner's desires to signal cultural sophistication and individual taste, while also responding to the particularities of the site and climate. The resulting architectural diversity contributed to Newport's reputation as a showcase of American aristocratic taste and innovation. The acquisition and development of land were also shaped by practical considerations, including topography, access, and views. Estate planners carefully selected sites that offered commanding vistas of the ocean and harbor, leveraging Newport's natural assets to enhance the prestige and enjoyment of the properties. The orientation and layout of buildings and gardens were designed to maximize light, air circulation, and visual impact. These considerations underscored the interplay between aesthetic ambition and functional necessity in the creation of these estates. The neighborhood that emerged along Newport's coastline was characterized by a spatial hierarchy that reinforced social distinctions. The largest and most opulent mansions occupied the most prominent and expansive sites, often situated on promontories or bluffs offering panoramic views. Smaller but still grand estates were located on adjacent parcels, creating a graduated landscape of wealth and status. This spatial arrangement mirrored and reinforced the social hierarchies of the time, embedding class distinctions within the very geography of Newport. The role of Newport's social scene in shaping land acquisition and development extended to informal networks and social conventions. Property transactions were often influenced by relationships among families, social clubs, and seasonal patterns of residency. The desire to maintain social proximity and visibility fueled land purchases that ensured participation in the city's elite enclave. These dynamics contributed to the consolidation of an exclusive residential district that functioned as both a physical and social barrier to outsiders. The early architectural commissions also reflected the growing professionalization of architecture and design in the United States during the late 19th century. The involvement of prominent firms like McKim, Mead & White elevated the status of architectural practice and set new standards for design quality and innovation. Their work in Newport exemplified the fusion of historicism and modernity, incorporating classical motifs and rigorous proportions alongside advances in building technology and materials. This synthesis became a hallmark of Newport's mansions, contributing to their enduring architectural significance. The architects and clients collaborated closely to create residences that satisfied both aesthetic ideals and practical requirements. The mansions were intended to accommodate complex domestic functions, including formal entertaining, family living, and the operation of extensive household staffs. The design process therefore involved detailed planning of interior layouts, circulation patterns, and service areas. This attention to functional organization was essential in ensuring that the estates operated smoothly as social and domestic environments, reflecting the intertwined nature of architecture and social practice. Landscape design was an integral component of early development, with gardens and grounds conceived as extensions of the architectural program. The use of formal gardens, terraces, and water features drew on European precedents, creating outdoor spaces that complemented the style and scale of the mansions. These landscapes provided settings for leisure, social gatherings, and display, reinforcing the estate's roles as sites of cultural performance. The integration of natural and designed elements contributed to the overall aesthetic coherence and experiential richness of the properties. The acquisition of land and early architectural development in Newport thus constituted a deliberate and multifaceted process that combined economic strategy, social aspiration, and cultural ambition. The wealthy elite's efforts to secure premier coastal sites and commission prominent architects laid the groundwork for the city's transformation into a distinctive enclave of Gilded Age grandeur. This phase established patterns of spatial organization, stylistic diversity, and social exclusivity that would define Newport's mansions and their enduring legacy. Through these early actions, Newport evolved from a modest coastal town into a symbol of American aristocracy and cultural refinement. The estates became physical embodiments of wealth and taste, their design and siting reflecting the owner's desires to assert social standing and participate in a privileged social milieu. The neighborhood that preserved Newport's mansions was thus not an accidental assemblage, but the product of intentional land acquisition and architectural patronage, setting the stage for the city's ongoing role as a repository of Gilded Age heritage. The architectural design and construction of Newport's mansions represent a pinnacle of Gilded Age creativity and ambition, where eclecticism and innovation converge to produce residences of extraordinary complexity and grandeur. These estates were not constrained by a singular style or approach. Rather, they embodied a synthesis of diverse architectural traditions, materials, and craftsmanship that reflected the owner's desire to assert cultural sophistication and social distinction through built form. One of the defining characteristics of Newport's mansions is their eclectic stylistic range, which draws heavily from European architectural movements yet adapts these influences to the American context. The Beaux-Arts style, with its emphasis on classical symmetry, monumental scale, and elaborate ornamentation, was particularly influential. Architects trained in the École des Beaux-Arts in Paris brought these principles to their American commissions, resulting in mansions that conveyed a sense of formality, order, and grandeur. The Breakers, designed by Richard Morris Hunt for the Vanderbilt family, exemplifies this approach with its imposing limestone facade, grand staircases, and richly decorated interiors. Alongside Beaux-Arts, Newport's mansions exhibit chateauesque elements inspired by the Renaissance chateaux of the Loire Valley in France. These designs feature steeply pitched roofs, turrets, ornate dormers, and sculptural detailing, creating a romantic and picturesque aesthetic. The Marble House, also by Hunt, is a prime example, its white marble exterior and intricate stonework evoking the splendor of French aristocratic residences. This stylistic borrowing was more than mere imitation. It was a deliberate cultural statement, aligning the owners with European aristocratic traditions and legitimizing their social standing through architectural language. Gothic Revival and other historicist styles also made significant contributions to Newport's architectural tapestry. Homes such as Kingscote, which predates many of the Gilded Age mansions, incorporate pointed arches, intricate tracery, and steep gables, lending a medieval character that contrasted with the classical rigor of later estates. The inclusion of diverse stylistic references within the same neighborhood created a visual dialogue that underscored the eclectic tastes and ambitions of the era's elite. Beyond stylistic considerations, the construction of these mansions involved significant innovations in materials and craftsmanship. Advances in steel framing and masonry techniques allowed for larger and more complex structures, while the availability of imported materials, marble from Italy, rare woods from exotic forests, and intricate stained glass from Europe, enabled an unprecedented level of luxury and detail. Skilled artisans, both domestic and foreign, were employed to execute elaborate woodwork, plaster moldings, frescoes, and decorative metalwork, transforming the mansions into comprehensive works of art. The interiors of Newport's mansions were equally ambitious, designed to impress and accommodate the elaborate social functions of the elite. Grand entrance halls, ballrooms, libraries, and dining rooms were often adorned with rich paneling, ornate ceilings, and custom furnishings. These spaces were carefully orchestrated to facilitate the performance of social rituals, from formal receptions to intimate family gatherings. The spatial organization balanced public grandeur with private comfort, reflecting the complex social roles the mansions were intended to fulfill. Landscaping and auxiliary buildings were integral components of estate planning and design. The gardens and grounds, often designed in collaboration with prominent landscape architects, created seamless transitions between interior and exterior spaces. Formal gardens, terraces, fountains, and ornamental plantings enhanced the aesthetic experience and provided venues for outdoor entertainment. Service buildings, such as stables, greenhouses, and staff quarters, were designed to blend harmoniously with the main house, ensuring functional efficiency without compromising visual coherence. The integration of these elements, architectural style, material innovation, interior design, and landscape planning, resulted in estates that were not merely residences, but comprehensive artistic statements. The mansions embodied the aspirations and identities of their owners, conveying messages about wealth, taste, and cultural alignment through every architectural detail. This holistic approach distinguished Newport's mansions from more conventional or utilitarian homes and contributed to their lasting historical and aesthetic significance. Notably, the design and construction processes were often collaborative endeavors involving architects, clients, craftsmen, and landscape designers. This collaboration allowed for the customization and refinement of each estate to suit the specific desires and social needs of the family. The architect's ability to synthesize multiple influences and incorporate cutting-edge techniques was essential in realizing these ambitious projects within the constraints of site and budget, which, though generous, demanded careful management. Architectural innovation extended to functional aspects as well. The mansions incorporated advanced structural systems to support large open interior spaces, grand staircases, and expansive windows. Fireproofing measures, improved heating and ventilation, and sound insulation were increasingly integrated as technological understanding advanced. These features contributed to the comfort and safety of the residences while enhancing their monumental character. The eclectic architectural styles also reflected broader cultural currents in America during the Gilded Age. The embrace of historical European models signified a search for cultural legitimacy and continuity amid rapid economic and social change. At the same time, American architects and clients sought to assert a distinct identity through innovation in materials, technology, and spatial organization. The mansions thus became sites where tradition and modernity intersected, producing a uniquely American interpretation of aristocratic living. The landscape design of the estates played a critical role in shaping the overall experience of the mansions. Grounds were carefully composed to frame views, direct circulation, and provide settings for outdoor leisure and social activities. The influence of the City Beautiful movement and the work of designers like Frederick Law Olmsted is evident in the emphasis on harmony between built and natural environments. The integration of formal and informal garden elements created varied spatial experiences that complemented the architectural grandeur. Auxiliary structures were more than functional necessities. They were designed to reflect the aesthetic and social values of the estate. Carriage houses, gate lodges, and staff quarters were often constructed with architectural detail and materials consistent with the main house, maintaining a unified visual narrative. These buildings also facilitated the complex social and operational routines of the estates, accommodating the needs of large households and extensive domestic staffs. The craftsmanship invested in Newport's mansions was of the highest caliber, involving artisans skilled in wood carving, metalwork, painting, and textiles. The attention to detail extended to custom-designed furniture, decorative arts, and lighting fixtures, many of which were commissioned from renowned makers and artists. This level of craftsmanship contributed to the house's status as Gesamtkunstwerk, total works of art where architecture and interior design were inseparable. In sum, the architectural and landscape design of Newport's mansions represents a convergence of stylistic eclecticism, technical innovation, and artistic collaboration. These estates were conceived as monumental compositions that articulated the identities and ambitions of their owners while advancing American architectural practice. The lavish interiors, diverse stylistic influences, and integrated grounds established Newport as a unique locus of Gilded Age cultural expression, the preservation of which continues to offer invaluable insights into the era's social and aesthetic values. The technological advances and luxuries incorporated into Newport's mansions during the Gilded Age marked a significant departure from previous residential design, situating these estates at the forefront of modern comfort and innovation. These homes were not only architectural masterpieces, but also showcases of the latest technological developments, reflecting their owners' desire to embody progress and sophistication alongside opulence. Electricity was among the most transformative technologies integrated into the mansions. At a time when electrical power was still a novelty in many parts of the country, Newport's elite embraced it as a symbol of modernity and convenience. Early adoption of electric lighting allowed for unprecedented illumination of interiors and exteriors, enhancing the visual impact of the estates during evening social events. Elaborate chandeliers, sconces, and lamps often custom-designed, illuminated ballrooms, dining halls, and galleries, enabling grand entertainments that extended well into the night. The presence of electricity also facilitated the operation of mechanical systems within the houses, signaling a break from traditional reliance on gas or candlelight. Plumbing advancements further elevated the mansion's standards of living. Indoor bathrooms equipped with running hot and cold water, flush toilets, and sophisticated drainage systems were integrated into the designs, marking a significant improvement in hygiene and comfort. These facilities were often lavishly appointed with marble, fine ceramics, and intricate fixtures, transforming utilitarian rooms into spaces of luxury. The inclusion of multiple bathrooms, powder rooms, and servant quarters equipped with plumbing underscored the complexity of daily life within the estates and the scale of staffing required for their operation. Elevators represented another notable technological innovation within Newport's mansions. While still relatively rare in private residences during this period, the installation of elevators reflected the desire to combine convenience with status. These mechanical lifts facilitated movement between multiple floors, especially in the largest mansions where vertical circulation posed significant challenges. Elevators also symbolized cutting-edge technology, often enclosed in elaborately decorated shafts or cages that complemented the interior design. Their presence enhanced accessibility without compromising the grandeur of the homes. In addition to these major systems, mansions incorporated state-of-the-art heating and ventilation technologies. Central heating systems, utilizing steam or hot water radiators, replaced less efficient fireplaces and stoves, ensuring consistent warmth throughout the expansive interiors. Mechanical ventilation and early forms of air conditioning were sometimes employed to improve air quality and comfort during the humid summer months. These systems required complex infrastructure, including boilers, ducts, and controls, reflecting the technical sophistication underlying the estate's luxurious appearance. The use of cutting-edge building materials and construction techniques also supported the technological ambitions of Newport's mansions. Steel framing and reinforced concrete allowed for larger, more open interior spaces and greater structural stability. Fireproofing materials and designs were integrated to protect these valuable properties, incorporating masonry walls, fire-resistant doors, and compartmentalization strategies. These measures reflected growing awareness of fire risks and a commitment to safeguarding the estate's substantial investments. Communication technologies were similarly advanced within the mansions. Intercom systems, electric bells, and early telephone installations facilitated coordination between family members and household staff. These technologies enhanced the efficiency of domestic operations and underscored the complex social hierarchies and roles within the estates. The technological infrastructure thus supported not only comfort, but also the organization and management of large households. The integration of these modern conveniences did not detract from the aesthetic and historical ambitions of the mansions. Architects and designers skillfully concealed mechanical systems within walls, floors, and decorative elements to maintain the visual integrity of the interiors. Elaborate wood paneling, plasterwork, and cabinetry often housed wiring, pipes, and machinery, demonstrating a sophisticated interplay between form and function. This seamless incorporation ensured that technological progress complemented, rather than compromised, the architectural and artistic goals. These technological features positioned Newport's mansions at the pinnacle of comfort and status during the Gilded Age. They allowed the elite to enjoy unprecedented levels of luxury, convenience, and safety, reinforcing the estate's roles as symbols of wealth and cultural leadership. The presence of such amenities distinguished these homes from older country estates and urban residences, emphasizing their modernity and exclusivity. The mansion's technological innovations also reflected broader societal trends toward modernization and progress. The Gilded Age was an era of rapid industrial and technological change, with electricity, plumbing, and mechanization transforming daily life. The elite's embrace of these technologies in their summer homes signaled both their participation in and leadership of these transformations. The estates became microcosms of national progress, where cutting-edge advancements were showcased alongside traditional symbols of power and prestige. Moreover, the technological sophistication of the mansions necessitated a substantial domestic workforce skilled in operating and maintaining complex systems. Engineers, electricians, plumbers, and other specialized staff supplemented the traditional roles of cooks, maids, and butlers. This expansion of household labor reflected the increasing complexity of elite domestic life and underscored the economic resources required to sustain such residences. The technological features also influenced the social functions of the mansions. Electrified lighting and improved heating extended the usability of interior and exterior spaces, enabling more elaborate and frequent social gatherings throughout the year. Mechanical conveniences reduced the burden of labor-intensive tasks, allowing staff to focus on service and hospitality. These factors contributed to the mansion's reputations as centers of social life and cultural performance during the summer season. In addition to their practical and social impacts, the technological aspects of Newport's mansions contributed to their historical and architectural significance. Preservation efforts have often emphasized the retention and restoration of original mechanical systems and fixtures, recognizing their importance in conveying the estate's full historical context. The mansions thus serve as repositories not only of aesthetic achievement, but also of technological innovation characteristic of the Gilded Age. The integration of modern luxuries into the mansions also illustrated the elite's negotiation between tradition and innovation. While the architectural styles often evoked historical European precedents, the incorporation of electricity, plumbing, and elevators signaled a forward-looking embrace of progress. This duality reflected the complex identity of the Gilded Age elite, who sought to root themselves in cultural tradition while asserting their modernity and leadership in technological advancement. Finally, these technological features contributed to the estate's enduring appeal and functionality. Their advanced infrastructure provided a foundation for continued use and adaptation, facilitating preservation and public access in subsequent decades. The mansion's ability to accommodate modern systems without compromising their historical character has been a key factor in their survival and relevance as cultural landmarks. In summary, the technological advances and luxuries embedded within Newport's mansions were integral to their status as pinnacles of comfort, innovation, and social distinction during the Gilded Age. The introduction of electricity, plumbing, elevators, heating, and communication systems transformed these estates into modern residences that combined aesthetic grandeur with cutting-edge convenience. These features not only enhanced the daily lives of their occupants, but also positioned the mansions as emblematic sites of progress and elite identity in a rapidly changing society. The preservation of Newport's mansions as enduring monuments of the Gilded Age was neither inevitable nor uncomplicated. Rather, it was shaped by a confluence of social, economic, and cultural factors that emerged in response to the decline of the elite fortunes and shifting societal attitudes in the early 20th century. The trajectory from private opulent residences to public heritage sites reflects complex negotiations between loss, memory, and the imperative to safeguard architectural and cultural legacies. In the decades following the turn of the 20th century, many of the families who had commissioned and inhabited Newport's grand estates experienced significant financial reversals. The concentration of wealth that had fueled the construction and maintenance of these mansions began to dissipate due to a variety of factors including economic downturns, changing taxation policies, and the evolving nature of industry and commerce. The Great Depression of the 1930s dealt a particularly severe blow, undermining the fiscal foundations necessary for the upkeep of such expansive properties. As a result, maintaining the estates in their original condition became increasingly burdensome, prompting some owners to sell, subdivide, or abandon their properties. The social context of this period also underwent transformation. The ostentatious displays of wealth characteristic of the Gilded Age came under scrutiny amid rising democratic sentiments and critiques of economic inequality. The lifestyle embodied by the Newport mansions was increasingly viewed as archaic or excessive by a society grappling with modern social challenges. This ideological shift contributed to a decline in the desirability of maintaining the estates solely as private family retreats, accelerating the processes of change and, in some cases, neglect. Amid these challenges, nascent preservation groups and historical societies recognized the cultural and architectural significance of Newport's mansions and mobilized efforts to protect them from demolition or unsympathetic alterations. The Preservation Society of Newport County, founded in 1945, emerged as a central actor in this endeavor, advocating for the conservation of the estates and facilitating their transition into public museums and cultural landmarks. These organizations sought to rescue the mansions not only as architectural treasures, but also as tangible connections to America's social history and artistic heritage. The role of preservation groups was multifaceted, encompassing research, advocacy, fundraising, and restoration. They negotiated with property owners, government agencies, and the public to secure legal protections and financial resources. Their work often involved painstaking restoration projects aimed at returning mansions to their historic appearances, guided by archival research and conservation best practices. This approach underscored a commitment to authenticity and educational value, positioning the mansions as sites for public engagement rather than private privilege. Economic hardships faced by the owners often compelled them to enter into arrangements with preservation entities, including donations or sales of properties, under terms that ensured their protection and public accessibility. These transitions marked a significant shift in the mansion's function and meaning, transforming them from exclusive family homes into museums open to visitors. This democratization of access was both a practical response to financial realities and a reflection of changing cultural attitudes toward heritage and collective memory. The preservation of Newport's mansions also intersected with broader national and international movements focused on cultural heritage and historic conservation. Legislative developments, such as the National Historic Preservation Act of 1966, provided frameworks for protecting significant sites and mobilizing public support. Newport's estates benefited from these policies, which facilitated funding, recognition, and technical assistance. The mansions became emblematic of the challenges and opportunities inherent in preserving large-scale historic properties within contemporary societies. The social and economic factors influencing preservation efforts were compounded by the technical and material challenges of maintaining aging structures. The mansion's size, complexity, and use of delicate materials necessitated ongoing restoration and conservation work, requiring specialized expertise and substantial funding. Preservation groups had to balance the desire for historical accuracy with practical considerations related to safety, accessibility, and sustainability. These challenges underscored the intricate relationship between cultural values and the realities of heritage management. Public interest and tourism played a critical role in sustaining preservation efforts. As the mansions opened their doors to visitors, they became centers for education, cultural appreciation, and economic activity. The revenue generated through ticket sales, events, and ancillary services helped fund maintenance and programming. Moreover, the mansion's visibility contributed to a broader awareness of the importance of historic preservation, fostering community support and volunteer engagement. This dynamic illustrated how preservation could serve both cultural and economic functions within the local context. The transformation of Newport's mansions from private estates to public heritage sites exemplifies the interplay between nostalgia and pragmatism. Preservation groups and community stakeholders sought to honor the artistic and historical significance of the mansions while adapting them to contemporary uses. This process involved selective interpretation, emphasizing certain narratives and features to engage audiences and convey the estate's multifaceted histories. The mansions thus became sites of memory and identity, reflecting evolving social values and historical consciousness. It is important to recognize that the preservation of Newport's mansions was not without controversy or tension. Debates arose regarding the appropriate extent of restoration, the representation of social histories, including those of servants and laborers, and the balance between public access and preservation needs. These discussions highlighted the complexities inherent in managing heritage sites that embody both grandeur and social stratification. Preservation efforts had to navigate these issues, striving to present a nuanced and inclusive understanding of the estate's historical contexts. The financial burdens associated with maintaining the mansions persisted as a central challenge. Even with public access and institutional support, the costs of conservation, staffing, and programming remained substantial. Endowments, grants, and fundraising campaigns became essential components of sustainable preservation strategies. The estate's continued survival depended on the ability of preservation organizations to adapt to changing economic conditions and public expectations while upholding standards of care. The broader cultural implications of preserving Newport's mansions extend beyond architecture and aesthetics. The estates serve as material witnesses to the social and economic dynamics of the Gilded Age, offering insights into patterns of wealth, power, and cultural expression. Their preservation enables critical reflection on issues of social inequality, cultural identity, and the construction of historical memory. In this way, the mansions function as active participants in contemporary dialogues about heritage and society. In sum, the decline of Gilded Age fortunes and shifting social attitudes precipitated financial and existential challenges for Newport's mansions in the early 20th century. The emergence of preservation groups and historical societies was instrumental in safeguarding these estates from destruction and neglect, facilitating their transition from private residences to public museums and cultural landmarks. This process was shaped by economic realities, cultural values, and evolving interpretations of heritage, highlighting the complex interplay between social change and the conservation of historic estates. The preservation of Newport's mansions thus reflects broader patterns of cultural memory and identity, ensuring their continued relevance in the modern era. The financial and legal frameworks governing the ownership and maintenance of Newport's mansions have played a pivotal role in shaping their preservation trajectory, often presenting formidable challenges to the families who once held these estates and influencing the transition of properties from private residences to public heritage sites. The intersection of estate taxation, inheritance laws, and governmental policies created a complex landscape that both constrained and facilitated the continued existence of these grand homes. Estate taxes, introduced and progressively increased during the early 20th century, exerted significant pressure on the owners of Newport's mansions. The federal estate tax, enacted in 1916 and subsequently modified, imposed substantial liabilities on heirs inheriting large properties and fortunes. For many families, the tax burden associated with maintaining and transferring these extensive estates proved overwhelming. The requirement to pay taxes often compelled heirs to liquidate assets or sell portions of their property, undermining the continuity of family ownership and complicating the financial viability of estate upkeep. Inheritance laws and practices further complicated ownership. Primogeniture, while not legally mandated in the United States, often influenced family decisions regarding estate division and succession. The dispersal of wealth among multiple heirs could fragment property holdings or generate disputes that jeopardized cohesive stewardship. Additionally, the costs associated with property taxes, maintenance, and staffing placed ongoing financial demands that many families found increasingly difficult to meet, especially as industrial fortunes declined or diversified away from traditional sectors. These fiscal pressures intersected with changing social attitudes toward wealth and property. The conspicuous consumption embodied by the Newport mansions was increasingly at odds with emerging cultural norms, emphasizing social responsibility and broader economic participation. The symbolic weight of maintaining such estates became both a financial and reputational challenge, prompting some families to reconsider their roles as stewards of these properties. Government policies and legal instruments evolved in response to these dynamics, creating mechanisms aimed at preserving historic properties while addressing fiscal concerns. Tax incentives for charitable donations, including the donation of properties or conservation easements, provided avenues for families to reduce tax liabilities while ensuring the protection of their estates. The use of conservation easements, which restrict development rights and preserve historic character, became a valuable tool in balancing private ownership with public interest. The establishment of historic districts and landmark designations at local, state, and federal levels introduced legal protections that limited alterations or demolition of significant properties. These designations often came with regulatory oversight and eligibility for preservation grants, reinforcing the mansion's status as cultural assets. However, compliance with these regulations also imposed responsibilities and potential costs on owners, necessitating careful management and planning. Financial burdens associated with property taxes and maintenance costs remained persistent challenges. The sheer scale and complexity of the mansions, along with their extensive grounds, required substantial investment to preserve structural integrity, restore decorative elements, and update mechanical systems. Many families face the dilemma of balancing preservation imperatives against limited financial resources, leading to increased turnover in ownership or the pursuit of alternative stewardship models. In this context, philanthropic organizations and preservation societies emerged as critical partners. They facilitated the acquisition, management, and fundraising necessary to sustain the estates, often negotiating with families to purchase or accept donations of properties. These organizations leveraged public and private funding sources, including grants, memberships, and event revenues, to support ongoing maintenance and programming. The financial realities also influenced the adaptive reuse of the mansions. Conversion into museums, event venues, or educational centers generated revenue streams that offset operational costs and justified investment in preservation. This functional transformation necessitated balancing historical authenticity with contemporary needs, including accessibility, safety, and visitor amenities. The integration of modern infrastructure required sensitive interventions to prevent compromising the mansion's architectural integrity. Government policies promoting historic preservation extended beyond taxation and regulation to include broader cultural heritage initiatives. Programs administered by agencies such as the National Park Service and state historic preservation offices provided technical assistance, funding, and recognition that bolstered preservation efforts. These programs contributed to the professionalization of conservation practices and raised public awareness of the mansion's significance. The interplay between financial constraints and legal frameworks also shaped community engagement and public-private partnerships. Local governments, preservation organizations, and private owners collaborated to develop strategies that balanced economic development, tourism, and heritage conservation. These partnerships underscored the importance of integrating historic estates into the broader social and economic fabric of Newport and its environs. The financial and legal challenges faced by Newport's mansions reflect broader patterns in American historic preservation, where the stewardship of large estates requires navigating complex fiscal and regulatory environments. The estate's survival depended on innovative solutions that reconciled private interests with public benefits, leveraging legal tools and financial incentives to sustain these cultural landmarks. Moreover, these challenges highlight the evolving cultural values attached to heritage properties. The recognition of mansions as public resources rather than solely private assets marked a significant shift in societal attitudes toward historic preservation. This transformation influenced legislative priorities and funding allocations, reinforcing the mansion's roles as educational and cultural institutions. The burdens imposed by taxation and inheritance also prompted critical reflections on the sustainability of maintaining such estates in their original private ownership models. The transition toward institutional stewardship or public ownership represented a pragmatic response to economic realities, ensuring that the mansions remained accessible and preserved for future generations. In conclusion, estate taxation, inheritance laws, and government policies have deeply influenced the ownership and preservation of Newport's mansions. The financial pressures stemming from these factors compelled many families to relinquish their properties or seek partnerships with preservation entities. Legal protections and fiscal incentives have played instrumental roles in safeguarding the mansion's architectural and cultural integrity, facilitating their adaptation into public institutions. This intricate interplay between economic and legal forces continues to shape the landscape of historic preservation in Newport, reflecting broader societal commitments to heritage conservation. The transformation of many of Newport's grand mansions from private residences into public museums and cultural landmarks constitutes a critical chapter in the narrative of preservation and adaptive reuse that has ensured their continued relevance and survival. This transition was driven by a combination of economic necessity, cultural advocacy, and evolving attitudes toward heritage accessibility, reflecting broader trends in the management of historic estates across the United States. As maintaining the vast estates became increasingly untenable for individual families due to financial constraints and social changes, the concept of opening these properties to the public gained traction. The shift from exclusive private ownership to public stewardship represented a fundamental redefinition of the mansion's purpose and meaning. No longer solely symbols of private wealth and social status, the estates were reimagined as communal assets, repositories of history, art, and architecture accessible to a wider audience. The involvement of organizations such as the Preservation Society of Newport County was instrumental in facilitating this transition. Founded in the mid-20th century, the society emerged as a leading force in acquiring, restoring, and managing many of the city's most iconic estates. Their mission reflected an understanding that preserving the mansions required both safeguarding their physical fabric and interpreting their historical and cultural significance for contemporary visitors. This dual focus underscored the evolution of heritage preservation from mere conservation to active public engagement. The conversion of mansions into museums necessitated extensive restoration and adaptation efforts to accommodate public access while respecting the historical integrity of the properties. Restoration projects often involved meticulous research, including the study of archival materials, photographs, and original plans to accurately recreate interiors, finishes, and furnishings. These efforts aim to present visitors with an authentic experience that conveyed the original ambiance and social context of the Gilded Age elite. Opening the mansions to visitors also required addressing practical considerations such as visitor flow, safety regulations, accessibility, and the provision of interpretive materials. Facilities were adapted to include ticketing areas, restrooms, and educational spaces, often integrated sensitively within existing structures or discreetly added to preserve the visual coherence of the estates. The balance between preserving historic fabric and accommodating modern requirements posed ongoing challenges, necessitating innovative architectural and curatorial solutions. The availability of these estates as public museums has significantly contributed to the educational mission of preservation. By providing immersive environments where visitors can engage with the material culture and architectural grandeur of the Gilded Age, the mansions facilitate a deeper understanding of the social, economic, and artistic narratives of the period. Interpretive programs often include guided tours, exhibitions, lectures, and special events that contextualize the estates within broader historical frameworks. Moreover, the mansion's status as cultural landmarks has bolstered community identity and pride. They serve as tangible links to Newport's past, anchoring the city's heritage and contributing to its distinctive character. The estates attract hundreds of thousands of visitors annually, generating economic benefits through tourism and related services. This influx supports local businesses and employment, illustrating the symbiotic relationship between heritage preservation and community vitality. The transition to public museums also reflects shifting cultural attitudes toward inclusivity and shared heritage. Whereas the mansions were once the exclusive domain of a privileged few, their opening to the public democratizes access to cultural resources and fosters broader engagement with history. This inclusivity aligns with contemporary values, emphasizing diversity and educational outreach, encouraging dialogue about the complexities of wealth, power, and social change embodied by the estates. The conversion process has not been without its complexities and controversies. Decisions regarding the interpretation of the mansion's histories often involve negotiating sensitive issues such as social inequality, labor histories, and the roles of servants and workers who sustained these estates. Preservation organizations have increasingly sought to present more comprehensive narratives that acknowledge these perspectives, enriching the public's understanding and fostering critical reflection. Financial sustainability remains a central concern in operating the mansions as museums. Revenue from admissions, memberships, events, and gift shop sales supports ongoing maintenance and programming, but expenses are substantial given the scale and complexity of the properties. Fundraising campaigns, grants, and endowments complement earned income, enabling preservation organizations to plan for long-term conservation and educational initiatives. This financial model requires continual adaptation to changing economic conditions and visitor expectations. The mansion's conversion into cultural landmarks has also influenced preservation practices nationally and internationally. Newport serves as a model for how historic estates can be repurposed to serve contemporary public needs while maintaining architectural and historical integrity. The city's experiences have informed best practices in restoration, interpretation, and visitor management, contributing to the professionalization of heritage stewardship. Additionally, the mansions have become venues for cultural programming that extends beyond static museum displays. Concerts, lectures, workshops, and seasonal events animate the estates, attracting diverse audiences and fostering dynamic interactions with history. These activities enhance the mansion's roles as living cultural centers, deepening their relevance in the 21st century. The opening of Newport's mansions to public visitation also creates opportunities for interdisciplinary scholarship and collaboration. Historians, architects, conservators, and educators engage with the estates as sites for research, teaching, and innovation. This intellectual engagement enriches the understanding of the Gilded Age and informs ongoing preservation strategies, ensuring that the mansions continue to evolve as sites of knowledge production. In this way, the mansion's transformation from private homes to public museums represents a profound shift in their social function and cultural significance. They have moved from exclusive symbols of wealth to accessible platforms for education, reflection, and community engagement. This evolution embodies broader societal changes in attitudes toward heritage, democratization of cultural resources, and recognition of the multifaceted meanings embedded in historic places. The preservation and public opening of Newport's mansions thus reflect a successful negotiation between honoring the past and accommodating present and future needs. Through careful restoration, thoughtful interpretation, and responsive management, these estates continue to captivate and educate visitors, sustaining their status as icons of American history and architecture. Their ongoing stewardship exemplifies the potential of heritage sites to serve as bridges between history and contemporary cultural life. Newport's mansions, preserved with remarkable fidelity to their Gilded Age origins, stand in stark contrast to the evolution observed in other elite residences across the United States and beyond. While many grand homes have been altered, repurposed, or even demolished over the past century, Newport's estates remain largely unchanged, embodying a deliberate cultural stasis that speaks volumes about the values, priorities, and identity of the region's social milieu. This comparative perspective illuminates the unique character of Newport's preservation narrative and raises critical questions about the intersections of heritage, social memory, and elite identity. Elsewhere, numerous Gilded Age estates have undergone significant transformations, reflecting shifting economic realities, changing ownership patterns, and evolving cultural preferences. In some cases, mansions have been subdivided into smaller residences, converted into institutional facilities such as schools, hotels, or corporate headquarters, or adapted for new residential uses. These adaptations often involve alterations to architectural features, landscape modifications, and the introduction of contemporary amenities that diverge from original designs. Such changes, while sometimes necessary for viability, result in a loss of historical integrity and alter the symbolic meanings of the properties. By contrast, Newport's mansions were largely preserved in situ, maintaining their architectural and landscape configurations, interiors, and material culture. This preservation is not attributable solely to neglect or financial incapacity, but rather to a conscious commitment to maintaining an idealized version of wealth and social order. The estates serve as frozen tableaus of an elite lifestyle that, while no longer practiced in its original form, continues to exert cultural influence and symbolic power. This stasis creates a sense of temporal suspension, where the mansions function as enduring icons rather than evolving domestic spaces. The neighborhood that preserved Newport's mansions is thus distinguished by its role in sustaining a curated historic environment, one that resists the pressures of modernization and adaptation that have reshaped comparable estates elsewhere. This resistance reflects both the efforts of preservation organizations and the cultural attitudes of local stakeholders who value the mansions as embodiments of heritage and identity. The estates have become museums and cultural landmarks, intentionally maintained to convey narratives of grandeur, refinement, and social hierarchy. Comparatively, other elite residences often reflect a more dynamic interaction with contemporary social and economic conditions. For example, estates in regions such as the Hudson River Valley or the American South have frequently incorporated new uses and architectural interventions that respond to local needs and market forces. While these adaptations ensure ongoing functionality and relevance, they also complicate the interpretation of historical authenticity, blending past and present in ways that challenge linear historical narratives. Internationally, similar patterns emerge. European aristocratic estates, facing economic constraints and social change, have often diversified their functions through tourism, agriculture, or cultural programming. This process introduces layers of meaning and use that transform estates from private symbols of lineage and power into multifaceted public resources. Newport's mansions, while also engaging in heritage tourism, retain a stronger emphasis on preservation of original form and function as elite summer residences, reinforcing a specific historical identity. The relative stasis of Newport's mansions also reflects broader social and cultural dynamics related to elite identity and memory. The estates embody a material culture that affirms class distinctions and historical continuity. By maintaining the mansions in their original configurations, the community preserves an idealized social order that privileges visual and spatial markers of wealth and exclusivity. This preservation is both a cultural achievement and a form of resistance to democratizing forces that might otherwise diminish the symbolic capital of the estates. Furthermore, the mansion's preservation influences public perceptions of the Gilded Age and wealth. Visitors encounter environments that emphasize luxury, artistry, and social ritual, often without confronting the complexities and inequalities inherent in the era's social fabric. The curated nature of the estates shapes narratives that valorize elite achievement and taste, sometimes at the expense of more critical or inclusive historical interpretations. This selective memory serves to sustain cultural hierarchies through heritage presentation. The comparison also highlights tensions between preservation and change. While Newport's mansions offer invaluable insights into architectural and social history, their frozen state raises questions about the sustainability and relevance of such static heritage forms. In a rapidly changing world, the mansion's unchanging nature can be seen as both a strength and a limitation, preserving authenticity but potentially limiting engagement with contemporary social issues. The preservation of these estates also depends on ongoing financial and institutional support, which necessitates adaptation in management and interpretation strategies. Balancing fidelity to historic form with the need to attract diverse audiences and address modern concerns requires nuanced approaches. This balancing act reflects the complexities faced by heritage sites that function both as monuments to the past and active participants in present cultural landscapes. Moreover, the neighborhood that preserved Newport's mansions operates within a local economy that benefits from heritage tourism and cultural prestige. This economic dimension reinforces the incentives for preservation, but also introduces pressures to commodify history and heritage. The mansions become assets not only for cultural memory but also for economic development, shaping decisions about conservation and presentation. In summary, the comparison of Newport's preserved mansions with other elite residences reveals a distinctive pattern of cultural stasis and deliberate preservation. The estates serve as enduring symbols of wealth and social identity, maintained with a fidelity that is rare among Gilded Age properties. This preservation reflects complex social, cultural, and economic factors that prioritize heritage continuity and elite representation. At the same time, it prompts critical reflection on the meanings and implications of maintaining historic estates as frozen icons rather than evolving spaces. Newport's mansions thus occupy a unique position within the broader landscape of heritage preservation, embodying both the achievements and challenges of sustaining cultural memory through architectural conservation. The enduring fascination with Newport's mansions extends far beyond their architectural grandeur or historical significance. These estates continue to captivate visitors and historians alike because they embody complex narratives about wealth, power, and social change in America. The preserved neighborhoods offer more than static displays of opulence. They serve as living texts through which cultural memory, identity, and legacy are continuously negotiated and reinterpreted. One key reason for this fascination lies in the mansion's ability to evoke an era defined by rapid economic expansion and stark social stratification. The Gilded Age was a period of extraordinary wealth accumulation, industrial innovation, and cultural transformation, but also one marked by profound inequality and contested social hierarchies. Newport's estates crystallize these tensions in tangible form, materializing the aspirations and contradictions of America's elite. Visitors are drawn to the mansions not only to admire their aesthetic beauty, but also to grapple with what they reveal about the distribution of power and privilege during a formative period in American history. The mansion's preservation also allows for reflection on how wealth is expressed and constructed through material culture. The scale, design, and decoration of these estates were deliberate articulations of status and identity, carefully curated to convey messages of sophistication, lineage, and exclusivity. By maintaining these environments with remarkable fidelity, Newport offers a unique opportunity to study and experience the spatial and symbolic languages of elite culture. This immersion fosters a nuanced understanding of how social distinctions are produced and maintained through architecture and lifestyle. Moreover, the estates serve as platforms for exploring broader social changes that have unfolded since the Gilded Age. The contrast between the lavish past and present realities invites contemplation of historical trajectories, including shifts in economic structures, social mobility, and cultural values. The mansions become lenses through which to examine the evolution of American society, prompting questions about continuity and change in notions of wealth, class, and cultural capital. The preservation of Newport's mansions also influences contemporary conversations about heritage and inequality. As accessible sites of public history, the estates encourage engagement with the complexities of America's past, including issues of labor, race, and social exclusion that underpinned the lifestyle they represent. Recent interpretive efforts have sought to incorporate these perspectives, acknowledging the contributions and experiences of the many individuals who worked behind the scenes to sustain the elite households. This expanded narrative challenges romanticized views and fosters critical reflection on the legacies of privilege. The mansion's cultural resonance is further amplified by their role in shaping local and national identity. Newport's architectural heritage has become emblematic of American aristocracy and cultural achievement, contributing to the city's distinctive sense of place and economic vitality through heritage tourism. The estates function as symbols of historical continuity and community pride, anchoring collective memory and providing a tangible connection to the past. This dynamic illustrates how heritage sites operate not only as historical artifacts, but also as active participants in contemporary identity formation. Additionally, the estates prompt reflection on the sustainability and future of historic preservation itself. Maintaining these mansions requires balancing authenticity with adaptation, financial viability with educational mission, and reverence with inclusivity. The ongoing stewardship of Newport's estates serves as a case study in managing cultural heritage amid changing social expectations and economic realities. It raises important questions about who controls historical narratives and how heritage can be made relevant and accessible to diverse audiences. The fascination with Newport's mansions also intersects with broader cultural desires for nostalgia and escapism. The preserved estates offer an immersive experience that transports visitors to a world of elegance and exclusivity, evoking an idealized past that contrasts with modern complexities. This allure, while powerful, invites scrutiny regarding the selective nature of historical memory and the implications of presenting heritage as a form of cultural performance. The mansions become sites where history is both preserved and constructed, revealing as much about contemporary values as about the past. Furthermore, the estate's survival prompts contemplation of legacy, both familial and cultural. The original owners intended their mansions as monuments to personal achievement and social standing, expressions of lineage and taste meant to endure. Today, these intentions are refracted through the lens of public stewardship and collective memory. The mansions have transcended individual legacies to become shared cultural assets, embodying tensions between private commemoration and public meaning. This transition highlights the fluidity of heritage and the ongoing negotiation of historical significance. In sum, Newport's mansions captivate because they encapsulate multifaceted stories about America's social fabric, cultural aspirations, and historical transformations. Their preservation provides a rare and profound opportunity to engage with the material and symbolic dimensions of wealth and power, inviting critical inquiry into the past and its relationship to present identities. The estates stand as enduring monuments not only to architectural brilliance, but to the complexities of cultural memory, social inequality, and the quest for legacy. They challenge us to consider how history is preserved, interpreted, and lived, making Newport an indispensable site for understanding the interplay between heritage and contemporary society. If you love the story, like the video and subscribe.